So someone in the comments asked me, which is better, the iPhone XR or the OnePlus 7 Pro? After all, they are about the same price. Well, to be honest, that's kind of the wrong question. It's not a matter of this phone is better or this phone is better. There's a completely different question you should be asking. I'll tell you what, right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. If that sounds like fun to you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anything I talk about will be in the description below. But for now, let's just get into the video. Now, I've done a lot of videos about this, the OnePlus 7 Pro, how I bought it, I took it back, I went without it, I missed it, and I bought it again. And I talked about how the performance, and especially for the price, is something that I'm super in love with. And still, that's the case. Like, I stopped using my Note 9, it's sitting over there, and haven't really used it in the last couple days, because this thing, I just love this thing. And I think what happened is people started thinking back to the XR, the iPhone XR, and thinking about the price of that. It's $749 new. This thing is, well, it's $700 for the T-Mobile version, which is one version of it, but there is a $749 version, which is the top end of this. So they're actually kind of comparing the top end of this versus the lowest end of the XR, the one with the least amount of storage, and asking me which one's better. Let's real quick recap what the XR is, and then we'll recap what the OnePlus 7 Pro is, and then we'll talk about why that doesn't matter. The iPhone XR launched late last year with an LCD screen, a less than 720p screen as well, big notch, and only one camera. But it can end up being the darling of all the iPhones from last year because the battery life is amazing, the performance is absolutely there, and the camera is actually good enough. It also has the amazing Face ID, which I still love to this day. It's so quick, fast, and accurate. It's really amazing. And if you can get over the notch, this is actually a great phone. Performance-wise, it just isn't slow at all. And with iOS 13 coming out with some of the new features it's got, this thing's gonna be a real beast in 2019. And to be quite frank, it's gonna be a real beast for the next year and a half. This thing has enough processing power to shoot 4K 60 frames per second, edit it in LumaFusion, and spit it out like it's nothing. And of course, all the games work great on it. This is just an amazing piece of hardware for $750. Now, Apple's been doing trade-in values for this thing. You can get it down to under $500. And that's just, you know, if you look around well enough, really hard enough on like Swappa or something like that, if you don't want to buy it completely new, you can get some deals. So is this at $749 better than the OnePlus 7 Pro at about $700, or if you want the top end, $749? This thing has an amazing display, AMOLED, which just crushes the look of LCD. It just does. 3 cameras, 256 gigs of storage, 8 gigs of RAM, 90 hertz screen, in-display fingerprint sensor. I just get so excited about this phone. I just really love this phone. So yeah, from a technical side of things, it's not really even a thing. It's like not a challenge, it's not a versus, with the exception of maybe the processor, which the A12 is incredibly powerful. This thing just dominates it on all levels. But the reality is you don't do something like this. You don't compare phones like this, and you should be suspicious of anyone who does a comparison of an Android phone with an iOS phone and tries to convince you that you should buy one over the other, because rarely is the case that you're trying to buy this piece of hardware over this piece of hardware. More importantly, it's how you're interacting with these phones, which actually means iOS versus Android. That's the real question. Once you figure out if you want to be Android or iOS, and we can talk about that here in a second, then the hardware becomes substantially more easy on the iPhone side and substantially more complicated on the Android side. There are so many versions of Android phones out there that as soon as you choose Android, you are going to be lost for a while. There's just a tremendous amount of options. On the iOS side, generally speaking, it's just what the newest phone is or what the last year phone is, and those are really the only two you should be looking at. In our case, it would be the XS, XS Max, or the XR, really. I mean, you could go back to the 10, you could even go back to the 8, but to be perfectly honest, it's not like you have 8 million different versions of iPhones. You just have the ones by Apple. With Android, you have Huawei, kind of, Xiaomi, Vivo, Samsung, LG, Nokia, OnePlus, Pixel from Google. Like, you have everything. Everything. So let's just rewind. Which phone should you get? Let's go back to the Android versus Apple argument. If you really like one ecosystem, where you can have your phone, your tablet, your computer, everything work in a harmonious way, it's Apple. There is no argument here. Apple is the king of integration, just the absolute king. And even if you don't like them, you have to admit their integration is amazing. From copying your data from one phone to another, to the integration all the way up to Apple TV, where you sign into different things through your phone, just have your phone near your other phone and it signs in. It's absolutely amazing. Fucking spider in this bitch. All right, spider, you know you're gonna catch an L. There's a spider up in here somewhere. Damn, he got away. Also, the ease of use is kind of hard to deny. It's really very simple. All the apps are on your screen, no matter what screen you're on. You can swipe left or right and there's all your apps. You probably know people with an iPhone, especially if you live in America, as it's the #1 selling phone in America. So as far as like being able to communicate with your friends, you're gonna have no problem there. Plus that green bubble thing that people like so much. And FaceTime's legit. If you have friends on the iOS ecosystem, being able to FaceTime them to, you know, talk and just communicate in a better way is really hard to beat. There's no like system-wide Android thing that's just integrated into the operating system. Sure, there's like Hangouts and stuff. No one uses that. There's like Duo, no one really uses that. Skype, I mean, some people use that, but FaceTime is on all phones. So the point of it is it's integrated and it's pretty damn awesome. So for ease of use, integration, and maybe even for like your grandmother who wants a smartphone but doesn't really know how to use one, or if you just have a lot of people in your friends and family network that have iPhones, this is absolutely an easy choice. You just get the iPhone XR. But if you like to experiment, if you like to customize, if you like to get down and dirty with your phone, it's always going to be an Android phone. Always, always, always. The customization of Android has been the basis of its success for many years. And of course, there's like the launchers that these manufacturers are starting to use, like Oxygen OS or One UI, which is really great from Samsung. So there's a lot of different options to be able to get yourself into the Android subsystem, the ecosystem of Android, if you can call it that, and customize it to your own. Listen, you could buy an Android phone, and if you don't like the launcher, you just replace it. It's super simple. And that's actually what a lot of people do. And even if you don't want to completely change the launcher or don't even know what a launcher is, it has themes. Like you can just change everything by just downloading a theme and applying it. So that's kind of cool. So for someone who's creative, someone who wants to express themselves, or someone who wants to be able to customize and tinker, well, in this particular case, the OnePlus 7 Pro would be the choice, or any Android phone for that matter, because the customization is practically encouraged on Android, whereas on iOS, not so much. So to be perfectly honest, saying is the OnePlus 7 Pro or the iPhone XR better than the other? Is one better than the other? Is kind of a dumb question. I mean, I guess there's no dumb question except for this. Well, this is a dumb question because look, it doesn't matter the hardware-wise which one is better. If you don't like the operating system, you won't buy the iPhone. If you don't like the operating system, you won't buy the OnePlus 7. And if you don't like the operating system of either, you get a flip phone. But if you're like me and you're open to anything and everything and you just want the best tool for the time, I have both. And yes, I'm a tech YouTuber, so I need both to be able to cover all the things about all the things you guys want to know about. But the reality is, if you have the money, this is actually the best experience. Being able to use both at any one time for whatever use needed. It's not practical, I get it. There are much better things to spend your money on. Trust me on that, rent being one of them. But listen, if you have the ability to buy two phones, buy one on Android, buy one on iOS, and you will want for nothing. But if not, the less expensive option tends to be Android because there's so many different options out there. So again, both these phones are excellent. If you buy one, you're gonna love it. If you buy the other, you're gonna love it. The operating system, on the other hand, might be the deciding factor. And that's the question you need to ask yourself whenever you watch these videos. It's not about this phone versus this phone, especially if they're on different operating systems. It's about this OS versus this OS. And shout out to my boy, John Prosser, who very late last year made that very clear to me. It's something that stuck with me this entire time, and I felt the need to kind of talk about it. So I hope that this has educated and hopefully entertain you a little bit today. If this video helped you out in any way, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if it didn't, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I'm here every single week, having a blast. Hope to see you again real soon. Peace and love, peace and love. Where'd my phones go?